The climate is changing, which has and will continue to have impacts on the systems and infrastructure we depend on in Auckland. Later in this video, you'll hear more from city leaders on why this is important and how the scientific evidence will be used for future planning. The scale of climate change will depend on how fast greenhouse gas emissions increase. Two climate change scenarios are presented here: a mid-range scenario in which future carbon emissions have stabilised, and a business as usual scenario in which emissions continue unabated. The Auckland region has warmed by about 1.6 degrees over the past century, and this warming will continue. By the end of the 21st century for the region as a whole, it is projected to be up to 1.3 degrees warmer than present for the mid-range scenario seen here, but up to 2.8 degrees warmer for the business as usual scenario. You can see some places warm more than others. Temperature increases are likely to impact the goods and services provided by our natural environment, including primary industries, as well as encouraging the spread of pests. Increasing average temperatures also means that extreme warm temperatures will be more common. Central Auckland currently experiences about 20 days above 25 degrees, or hot days, per year. This is projected to increase by 20 days by the middle of the 21st century for both scenarios, and by 65 days by the end of the century for the business as usual scenario seen here, but about 30 days per year for the mid-range scenario. There is significant variation in the projection of hot days across the region. The increase in hot days is likely to impact our physical and mental health and lead to increased energy use for cooling. Seasonal rainfall patterns are likely to change in Auckland, with spring becoming drier and autumn wetter than at present. Extreme rainfall events are likely to become more intense and more common because a warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture. At present, where about 170 millimetres falls over 24 hours in central Auckland during a once-in-100-year rainfall event, by the end of the century this amount could increase by 25% under the business as usual scenario. This has implications for stormwater management and flooding, as well as slips and landslides. On the other side, drought is expected to be more common and more severe in Auckland, which may impact agriculture, horticulture and water supply. Sea level rise is a major concern for Auckland as residents and infrastructure are close to the coast. Depending on the climate change scenario, 0.5 metres of sea level rise is projected between 2060 and 2110, and 1 metre of sea level rise is projected between 2100 and after 2200. A comprehensive technical report is available on Auckland Council's website. The report contains projections for many more climatic variables, which you can see here, as well as information on potential climate change impacts for Auckland.
Kia ora koutou. Climate change is humanity's biggest environmental threat. We need both to reduce carbon emissions and to take urgent action to future-proof our communities and our infrastructure from the impacts of rising sea levels and weather changes.
We need to make sure that in our cities like Auckland, we can actually afford to live here and that we aren't going to be spending a fortune on concrete siding our streams, that we work with nature to manage climate change in a sensible way.
If we fly blind on this, the chances of us spending very precious ratepayer money where it's not actually needed goes up. So this is all about arming ourselves with the very best information that we can before we start investing and acting.
We as Ngāti Whātua have a responsibility, we believe, as the Indigenous people of Auckland City, to ensure that our people, but also those other communities who have suffered injustices, who have for whatever reason less access to power, can also participate in helping solve this great challenge that we have before us.
As Auckland's public health organisation, we are preparing for the potential impact on people's health of climate change in areas such as air pollution, increased temperature and waterborne diseases. It is vital, therefore, that we have the data and information to enable us to do this work.
So we've been monitoring over the last couple of decades the impacts of climate change, and over the last few years projects like this where we're standing now, Project Twin Streams, have been instrumental in understanding how to manage floods in an urban area more in keeping with nature. The urban forest strategy will grow our urban forest in areas of higher density to cool these areas and provide shade, and thinking about some exciting initiatives like our King Tide initiative, getting Aucklanders to go out, photograph and have a look at what happens during a King Tide to further our understanding of the impacts of climate change.
Much of the Māori productive sector is in the primary industry, and in our case in property, and so we really need to invest a lot more into the new economy, into the digital, into green businesses, or change our current primary industry so that they better align with our kaitiakitanga or guardianship values.
Understanding the extent of the changes that will take place in our region is vital, and the NIWA report helps us plan for how our city grows, adapts and responds to climate change. Together, we need to do all we can to tackle the causes and to adapt to the effects of climate change. Thank you.